Hello, everyone. After the news of the rescue of snow leopards Ling Xiaojie and Ling Xiaomang was released, more and more people from all over the world have started to love and follow them. In the comments section, we've seen various questions from everyone, including where they came from, who their mother is, what their family is like, the reasons for their injuries, and why their personalities and behaviors are so different. Today, we will answer and discuss some of these questions. Disclaimer: the information is sourced from Xining Wildlife Park and is based on conversations with its deputy director, Qi Xinjiang, and other staff members. This channel has organized, summarized, and translated it. For convenience, this video is narrated in the first person. This episode is packed with information and is worth watching carefully and repeatedly. In the news release, it was mentioned that about 10 kilometers away from where Ling Xiaomang was rescued, an adult female snow leopard was also rescued, but she ultimately did not survive. She was Ling Xiaomang's mother. So what exactly happened? After Ling Xiaomang was rescued on the night of June 2nd, the following evening, about 10 kilometers from his rescue location, a herder found a snow leopard in poor condition and reported it to the Jiuzhi County Natural Resources and Forestry and Grassland Bureau. Staff from multiple departments then worked together overnight to carry out the rescue. Finally, at around 9 p.m. that night, they found the severely injured and dying female snow leopard under the snow. How serious were her injuries? The pictures are not suitable for display. It wasn't just about how large or deep her facial wounds were. A severe infection had caused a large amount of muscle tissue to fall off, and her head had begun to decay. Her body also had multiple obvious external injuries. They deduced that she had been in a fierce battle with a wolf pack or other similar large predators. The situation was very critical at the time. They performed an emergency rescue overnight, but unfortunately, they couldn't save her. Afterwards, we brought her body back to Xining and performed a basic examination. We found she was a relatively small individual, less than 90 centimeters in body length, and her weight was incredibly low, less than 20 kilograms. You have to understand, the weight of an adult female snow leopard is typically between 30 to 45 kilograms. Her body length wasn't actually that short. Under normal circumstances, she should have weighed at least 32.5 kilograms, but she was under 20 kilograms. Then some might ask, how can you determine that a deceased female snow leopard found 10 kilometers away was Ling Xiaomang's mother? First, for an adult snow leopard's territory, 10 kilometers is not an unreachable distance. It's normal for them to cover 10 kilometers in their daily activities. Of course, in the end, we confirmed it through a full genome sequence test and comparison. We discovered they have a very close kinship, either parent-child or siblings. Based on their ages, their genders, and the overlap of their living areas, we could conclude that this female snow leopard was Ling Xiaomang's mother. Now, many people will ask, what on earth happened? Why did this mother and son both end up dying, with one not even surviving? We can't be 100% certain, but based on the available information and the living habits of snow leopards, we can make some bold speculations. Perhaps this can help everyone understand some of the challenges and difficulties snow leopards face in the wild. As we mentioned, this snow leopard mother was not large in stature, and her hunting ability was likely not particularly strong. Additionally, snow leopards usually give birth to 2 or more cubs per litter. This mother may have already expended a great deal of effort to raise her cubs after giving birth last year. Her own physical condition was no longer at its peak. Perhaps in mid-May, in order to bring a hearty meal back to her children, She fought a life-or-death battle with a wolf pack or other predators. She sustained obvious external injuries on her body and limbs, with the head injuries being particularly severe. This inevitably led to a sharp decline in her ability to survive in the wild. As her hunting ability declined, her children's nutritional supply could not be guaranteed. We mentioned earlier that snow leopards typically have 2 or more cubs. We didn't find any traces of other snow leopard cubs nearby, so we can't rule out the possibility that his other siblings may have already died elsewhere before this. Perhaps Ling Xiaomang was her last child? To ensure her last child could at least get the minimum food needed to survive, she tried very hard to hunt, but her injuries were just too severe. She truly lacked the ability to catch wild prey, so she might have thought of going near the herders' living areas to look for cattle or sheep, to see if she could feed her child a full meal. Because she failed to catch prey time and time again, they walked further and further, possibly covering a distance of 10 kilometers. Under these circumstances, Xiaomang, at home alone, was cold, hungry, and afraid. He had also reached the brink of his own life. He had no choice. He had to venture into the wilderness himself to see if he could find his mother or any other chance of survival. He eventually collapsed in the snow and was covered by it, but luckily he was discovered by a herder at the last moment. Meanwhile, his mother, 10 kilometers away, was still trying to find a last resort for his food. But for the same reason, she simply had no strength left. She was too hungry, too tired, and too sick. She eventually collapsed in the snow as well, covered by the heavy snowfall. Although she was also found, it was too late. Xiaomang was saved by us, but his mother closed her eyes forever. Friends who have seen the videos may have noticed their distinct personalities. Ling Xiaojie is confident, majestic, and interacts with visitors, while Ling Xiaomang is timid, cautious, introverted, and stays away from visitors. That's why you see more videos of Ling Xiaojie confidently and calmly interacting with visitors, while videos of Ling Xiaomang are rare because he's either hiding or far away from people. It's like one is an extrovert and the other is an introvert. So why are their behaviors so different? And what caused these differences? Is it due to their personalities? And what caused these personality differences? We will analyze this from 3 aspects. The first is some of their life details. Snow leopard cubs usually start to leave the den at about 2 months old, and at about 3 months, they begin to explore their surroundings and try to follow their mother to learn life skills. When they are young, their mother will teach them to clean their den and also help them with their personal hygiene. Ling Xiaojie basically has fixed locations for eating, defecating, and sleeping, and he's quite mindful of personal hygiene. This is actually a normal habit for snow leopards. Most of the snow leopards we have rescued and raised are like this. But Ling Xiaomang's experience is quite unique. His mother was not large to begin with. When he was young, his mother probably spent too much energy hunting for food, and may not have had much energy to take meticulous care of her cubs. Notably, his viral antibody tests show that he was exposed to, and possibly even infected with, multiple viruses, including feline panleukopenia. His siblings, who disappeared without a trace, very likely did not survive this wave of infection. From a young age, these relatively tragic circumstances, or poor living conditions, may have led him to get used to defecating in the den. His mother couldn't clean it out for him in time, and he got used to resting and sleeping in this filth. Over time, he might have even felt more secure in such an environment. So even today, we still find that he defecates everywhere, steps in his own feces, and even sleeps on it. This isn't because he doesn't like being clean, but likely because it's related to his tragic early life experiences. The second aspect is their attitude towards vets. Snow leopards, like many wild animals, will actively avoid humans. Therefore, the snow leopards we've rescued are usually old, weak, sick, or disabled individuals. They resort to stealing livestock from humans only when they can no longer survive on their own. Ling Xiaomang, like all snow leopards, had not seen many humans and was naturally full of fear and vigilance towards them. Especially after being rescued, he was frequently subjected to dressing changes, injections, blood draws, anesthesia, and so on. These procedures made him feel uncomfortable, scared, and uneasy. So, when he started to regain his mobility, he showed extreme resistance towards vets, especially towards certain vets wearing blue clothes, a particular vet. Ling Xiaomang's situation is also quite special. As we said, he was infected with multiple viruses, including feline panleukopenia. But you must know, it's almost impossible for a snow leopard to get infected with this kind of virus in the wild. The risk of such germ infections is infinitely diluted in that vast natural environment. But he was infected with more than one. The most likely possibility is that his home range had some overlap with the activity range of pets kept by local residents. Only in such an area would he have the chance to get infected with these viruses. This means that the place where he grew up was probably not far from humans. The location where his mother was found, only about 900 meters from a herder's home, seems to be evidence supporting this inference. Perhaps he had long been accustomed to observing human activities, and maybe even followed his mother more than once to the vicinity of the herder's home to eye their livestock. So, from the very beginning, he was not afraid or resistant towards the vets. He would even stroll around while the vets were working, acting completely at home. Additionally, the subsequent treatment process didn't cause him any pain. The desensitization process was also exceptionally smooth, and he completely ignores human presence. He even thinks about launching sneak attacks on people, so he is not afraid of vets. The third aspect is their attitude towards the activity yard at the snow leopard enclosure. To everyone's surprise, Ling Xiaomang, a little snow leopard who would hide himself at the slightest sound, walked out into the activity yard of the snow leopard enclosure so brazenly, without any stress. He even initiated interactions with the visitors on the other side of the glass. It's worth mentioning that through our rescue and breeding experiences, we've found that wild animals are actually very smart. Many animals know that the glass can protect them and will even interact with or tease visitors through it, treating it like a fun game to scare them. Our palace's cats, lynxes, snow leopards, and others all exhibit this kind of behavior. So it's understandable that Ling Xiaomang behaves this way. Ling Xiaomang, on the other hand, is fascinating. When he was in quarantine at the vet hospital, he loved to rub his face and get close to the chefs through the glass, showing no avoidance of such interactions with humans. But after moving to the snow leopard enclosure, he is very resistant to coming out into the outdoor area during the day. He doesn't dare to interact with visitors at all and just hides under a wooden plank for the whole day. In contrast, late at night when it's quiet, he voluntarily comes out to the activity yard to run, play, and jump, completely letting loose. Here, we need to talk a bit about the activity rhythm of snow leopards. Often, when we look up information, it says that snow leopards are nocturnal animals, preferring to be active at night. But we feel this statement isn't quite accurate. A more accurate description, we think, is that snow leopards are crepuscular animals, meaning dawn and dusk are their most active periods. Of course, outside of these two periods, their nighttime activity is indeed somewhat greater than their daytime activity. But this is actually just a statistical pattern derived from scientists' monitoring of a limited number of individuals in the wild. If you were to compile statistics on captive snow leopards in zoos, you would find that their daytime activity is far greater than at night. So, what causes this difference? The most likely reason, we believe, is the personality differences caused by the individual snow leopard's strength and their experiences. Generally, stronger individuals are less likely to avoid daytime activity. Some studies have also confirmed that in areas with frequent human activity during the day, the proportion of nocturnal activity for snow leopards in that area increases significantly. We can actually see some patterns from the snow leopards we have rescued and raised. For example, the weaker snow leopard, Ling Xiaomang, in the period right after she was rescued, and for more than 2 years after, was very resistant to daytime activity. Her nocturnal activity was significantly higher than her daytime activity, especially when she had to face visitors during the day. She would always hide in a corner, just like Xiaomang does now. But over time, as she gained a sense of security, especially after having Dawa, another snow leopard's name, as a companion, her activity rhythm changed significantly. At night, we see through the surveillance cameras that she sleeps through the whole night with Dahua, and during the day, she has become more active. The three sisters bred at the park, Aoksu, Shuimo, and Yuhua, 3 snow leopards' names, have never been bullied, and they all prefer to be active during the day. Before Xiaoji was injured, he probably had a strong mother. He didn't have much of an aversion to daytime activity to begin with, and he knows that the glass can keep him safe. So as long as that vet who gives him shots isn't around, he can face the visitors outside the glass with composure. But Xiaomang is different. His mother was not a strong individual, and he likely experienced all sorts of bullying with his mother from a young age. His nose was also injured once, so he is a typical weaker individual. Such weaker individuals usually choose to avoid the daytime, a period of intense competition and high survival pressure, and opt for nocturnal activity. The bustling and noisy outdoor yard of the snow leopard enclosure during the day is too chaotic, too confusing, and provides too little sense of security for him, so he hides under that wooden plank. That place is very much like the narrow dens he had in the wild, which he could use for hiding. I've just been explaining a lot of theoretical stuff, so now let's make some relatable comparisons. This will make it easier for everyone to understand. Xiaoji is like a doomed prince. He grew up wanting for nothing, his behavior is proper, and he's as elegant as jade, yet he maintains a sense of distance from everyone around him. It's hard for him to truly connect with people. Instead, it's on that high, bright stage where, because of his upbringing and experience, he can handle himself effortlessly. Xiaomang, on the other hand, is more like a wild child who prioritizes happiness above all else. He's faced constant hardship since he was young, and his life is messy and unrefined. But he is optimistic by nature and sees everyone around him as a good person, making it easy for him to connect with people. However, when you put him on that high, bright stage, he lacks confidence and doesn't know what to do. Many people might ask, do you like Xiaoji more or Xiaomang more? This is a question you really don't need to get hung up on. Some people prefer the cool, aloof prince, while others prefer the friendly, common person from the streets. It's okay. There's no need to argue over who is better, because only when these two meet and merge do we get the wonderful story of the marvelous twins. Ling Xiaozhe and Ling Xiaomang are both sprites and treasures that nature has cast into human society. they are also ambassadors sent by the snow leopard population to human society. Through their individual behaviors, appearances, experiences, agility, and resilience, they show humanity the beauty of the snow leopard species and the various challenges they face in their lives. What we need to do is to get to know them, observe them, understand them, and cherish them. To recognize the difficult survival situation wild animals currently face, and the problems and challenges faced by wildlife conservation work, and then work together to make it all better. And from there, to pay attention to the snow leopard species as a whole, and to the biodiversity and ecological conservation efforts on the Qinghai Tibet Plateau and across our planet. All right, we'll see you next time.